Hello, everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today, I'll be talking to Princess Ronke Ademiluyi. She is the CEO and founder of African Fashion Week, London and Nigeria. What's so inspiring about her is that African Fashion Week is Europe's largest fashion event promoting and nurturing African and African-inspired design talent with a collaboration catwalk, exhibition, and business development program. African Fashion Week has led the way in highlighting African emerging designers and apparel industry, and has also been at the front end of bringing awareness of African fashion industry to the international market. Since 2011 is since it was founded, apparently. African Fashion Week has hosted 8 catwalk events and contributed to at least 10 more events produced by third parties, such as the Mayor of London Black History Month celebration. They showcased over 800 emerging designers and exhibitors from Africa, Europe, and America to almost, guys, listen, 7,000 visitors, including buyer retailers, influential industry professionals, and the media. And it's now highlighted on the annual fashion calendar. African Fashion Week London brings value to designers through contact, experience, and knowledge within the fashion community. This is just so amazing, and I'm just so honored to have Ronke join us here today. She's like a sister to me because she works endlessly hard to bring talent that we've not really seen to the West. Welcome, Princess Ronke. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. We've got the gorgeous Princess Ronke here with me, as I made in an introduction. Princess Ronke, thank you so much for joining me. Where are you right now?
I'm actually in London, and hi, and thank you so much for having me. I came in March. I came for 10 days, and I've been here for 5 months now due to the outbreak of COVID.
Oh no! I hope you're keeping well there. I know you're meant to be probably in Nigeria organizing some big events in London, but with COVID, everything has changed. But before we go into that more discussion of how the effect of COVID and who you are and what you do, can we just have a little bit of explanation about who is Princess Ronke?
Oh, wow. I don't think anyone has ever asked me that question before. Who is Princess Ronke? Okay, my name is Ronke Ademiluyi. I'm a princess from the Yoruba tribe. That's the southwest of Nigeria, Ile-Ife to be precise. I studied law, but I ended up working in the fashion business because I'd always had a passion for fashion. I grew up between London and Lagos, so that makes me understand both cultures. I did a bit of my schooling in Lagos, and then I did my university and A-levels here in London. I've been a single mom for 23 years. I have a 23-year-old daughter. And thank you. And I just that's me. And when I desire anything, I try as much as possible to work hard, to make sure it manifests. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's a very good explanation about you, but it didn't really touch a lot of things who you truly are. One of the things that really fascinates me about you is the launch of the African Fashion Week London in 2011. What prompted you to really go about and launching this platform for African designers, and not just African designers, but also diaspora designers who are making African wear products? What prompted that whole initiative?
Okay, thank you, Anne. Like I said, I studied law, but I had always wanted to go into the business of fashion. But while growing up, fashion was not seen as a lucrative profession back then, so I wasn't allowed to study fashion. So I had to study law at the Thames Valley University in Ealing. And immediately after graduating, I went straight into the business of fashion. I remember growing up here in London, because I said I grew up between London and Lagos. It was totally impossible then to lay your hands on a ready-to-wear African outfit. If you wanted anything African or African inspired, you would have to send a message back home, depending on wherever you're from. So it could have been Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. So it made it so impossible. And I realized that even up until the 21st century, that was the beginning of the 21st century, 2001, we still had that issue of, trying to locate where African designers were. And I discovered that there wasn't a platform, that brought together African brands and Black brands as well. They were being excluded from the mainstream fashion industry. So for me, Africa Fashion Week was born out of that moral obligation and urgent need of a platform for African designers so that they could, that they could just expand their horizons, create more awareness for them, and then, expose them to new markets. And that was how I launched Africa Fashion Week in 2011.
You did a great thing because I myself, I still struggle to get African prints as well. And every time I need an African print for myself and my girls, I always go on your website, African Fashion Week London, and I look for who some distributors where I could get them, because it's so difficult to get the African print, and it's something I wear, I like to wear. But it's always hard to just get it. But with your website, which you've done, is really amazing, because all the other exhibitors are there and you could just contact them directly. But have there been any challenges in doing this? Because you are trying, what you're doing is you are based in London and in Nigeria, but one of the things you're doing is collecting all these designers and saying to them, come over to London and showcase your design. So that means you need to maintain this and keep that running for them. So it's not just about people coming to the show, but it's the aftermath of the show. So what have been some of the challenges you've faced over the years of trying to building this fantastic business?
Thank you, Anne. I remember back in 2010 when I came up with the idea of having an Africa Fashion Week in London. It wasn't received well. Everyone thought, who's going to buy African fashion in London? Who's your target audience? Who are you targeting? What market are you trying to sell African fashion to? And I did a survey. So normally when I want to start an initiative or a project, I would always do a survey to make sure that, I am providing a solution, solution to a problem. So I did a survey, and at least about 98% of the designers came back and told me that there was a need for an African platform in London. There was a need for a platform for them to be able to showcase their brands. So after the survey, I shared the idea with a few friends and family, and I was totally discouraged. I was told that an Africa Fashion Week would never work in London. I was even advised to change the name. Someone said the name Africa would not sell in London. You have to change that name. But I went with my gut feeling. I was like, I didn't want to be discouraged. I said, you know what, I'm still going to do it. Even if it doesn't work, I'll move on to something else, but I'm still going to try it. So I went ahead, I put a plan together. I sent out proposals. I sent out sponsorship proposals as well. They all came back and they said, no, we can't support it. We don't understand it. We don't know why is there a need for African fashion in London? But I still went ahead. I had savings because I had been doing my business. So I put all of my savings into it. I got my brother as well, my older brother. I twisted his hands and, I got him to put some money into it as well. So we co-funded it together. And in August 2011, we had the first Africa Fashion Week London. We showcased about 60 designers to an audience of 4,500 visitors. And after the event, everyone kept on asking why an event like this had never been done in London before. So I was like, oh, thank God, thank goodness I did not listen to what people were saying, that an Africa Fashion Week would not sell in London, or the name Africa is not marketable in London.
But what made you persevere though? Because a lot of people hear all the doubts, negative, or you shouldn't do this, or you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're too this. They hear that doubt and they live with that doubt, and that stops them from doing what they need to do. They just believe that, oh, someone has said that I can't, so I better not. But you have taken on that challenge that everyone said, it might not work. The name Africa is not really a sellable name, but you still believe in yourself. What gave you that sense that you should still persevere, even though you had all the doubters saying, probably not, probably you should do something else?
I always try to go with my gut feeling. Once I have a feeling that something is going to work, once I desire it as much as I want, then I know that I'm supposed to give it a trial to see if it would work or not, to try if it would work. And that was what I did with Africa Fashion Week. As much as everyone said, oh, it wouldn't work, and it's just like another phase of fashion that's going to fade away. And I said, let me try. And even if it doesn't work, I will move on to something else. It won't be the end of the world. So that was why I stuck to my gut feeling. And here we are 10 years after that. We are the biggest African fashion week outside of Africa.
So what have been some of your highlights? Something that you can look back on and say, wow, I've really gotten this far. We've achieved X, Y, Z. What have been some of your major highlights that you've done?
In 2012, we had, I would say 2012 for me was the biggest Africa Fashion Week so far, because we did it right in the middle of the Olympics. And we had an audience of over 20,000 from different countries around the world, you know, coming around to see what Africa Fashion was all about. And after Africa Fashion Week, after the success of Africa Fashion Week in 2011, almost every major city in the world now has their own Africa Fashion Week, because they were inspired by what we did. They saw the success and the outcome of Africa Fashion Week London. And then after 2011 as well, we noticed that a lot of the mainstream brands like Burberry, Gucci, Louis Vuitton have all started to incorporate Africa in their brands. In 2018, I remember Stella McCartney had an African inspired collection at Harrods, and it was based on the success of, you know, all the Africa Fashion Weeks showcasing the talented African designers. So it just goes to show that Africa fashion is here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
But you went on to do the African Fashion Week Lagos. How did that come about with, African Fashion Week London, then you went on to African Fashion Week Lagos. So how did that come about, and what's the difference between the two platforms?
Every year we get applications from about a minimum of 500 designers who want to showcase at Africa Fashion Week London. We only have spaces for about 50, or maybe a maximum of 60 every year. But we also noticed that there are loads of talented designers in Africa who can't afford to showcase, you know, a lot of costing that goes with showcasing on an international platform in terms of, you know, visas, flights, and hotels. So a lot of them can't afford it. It doesn't mean that they're not talented. They're equally talented as the designers who come to showcase in London, but they just can't afford that luxury. So we established the Africa Fashion Week Nigeria to enable us to reach out to equally talented designers around Africa, but who can't afford to showcase on an international platform.
Wow. Now the Lagos one is actually as well very much fun as the UK one, because there you also get, all the local peak guys you just mentioned that can't even come, the neighboring country from, that's from Ghana, Togo, you name it, all there showcase, and the lifestyle of Lagos, the color. What do you think when you think African fashion? What do you think when when someone says African fashion? What comes to your mind?
The vibrancy, our colors, the culture, the different cultures around Africa. I know people have always asked me, they've often asked if Africa is a country. And I'm like, no, Africa is a continent with about 54 countries and about 3,000 different tribes. So when we have all these different countries coming to Africa Fashion Week every year, they come with their fashion culture. We have the South Africans, the Ghanaians, the Kenyans, we have designers from Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe. So you can imagine the whole mixture of the colors, the talent. It's super amazing.
So people forget, you go to Nairobi, the style is so different, but we still do the same thing. We're still very colorful, but
very
with a little bit tweak, a little bit of differentness to it. In any businesses, there are always challenges. When you experience challenge in your mind, what do you do to keep yourself going? How do you stay positive? Because I know you, and one thing I love about you is that you're always calm. Even when you're before a show, you're just so calm, and you just never make anything a big deal. And even though you're doing the biggest and one of the biggest things in the world, you just stay grounded and keep focused in doing what you're doing. How do you stay so positive and grounded with everything you do?
How do I stay positive and grounded? I make the extra effort, to stay positive. I try to weed out a lot of negative thoughts out of my mind. I don't stress myself. I see stress as creative tension. And when I say creative tension, so I see stress as a situation that you can't do anything about, and then I try to change that into creative tension, and I look for a solution for that. For example, the situation of COVID. I came into London in March, and I'm still here 5 months later. But I've used that time to be productive. I've moved a lot of my activities from offline to online, so I could stay relevant within the fashion industry and also continue to do what I love doing, which is, helping my designers, creating awareness and networking opportunities for them. Sometimes in a situation that you can't do anything about, you just have to look at the positive side of it, and always look for a solution. So I try not to get myself stressed. I try not to stress myself, not in any way.
In light of COVID, you just talked about it. In light of COVID, how has that changed business? I know you did mention, what you've done doing it for your business, but how has that changed your view on the fashion world, on where you see us going and moving to? Because everyone says it's the new world now, and probably with events and things like that, we still need to showcase people, brand design. You still need to keep going because, you have started a great thing, which we just can't say we'll pack it for a while. But how are you looking to still continue doing what you are and motivating and inspiring these artists and business people coming out? What do you do?
We don't know what the future holds. We don't even know when the restrictions are going to be lifted. We don't even know if they're lifted, how comfortable people are going to be in social gatherings. But we still need to continue to do what we do. So like I said, we've moved a lot of our activities, from offline to online. I think online is the new normal at the moment. And we started with webinars, master classes as well. And we launched our online courses in collaboration with Parsons Design School New York and Henley's Business School UK, to continue to contribute, for the future of the designers, for them to learn new technologies, new innovative skills that would help them in the future. And that's what we're doing at the moment.
And there's so many designers, and some of these designers actually are so creative and know what they want. But one of the skill gaps I've seen with African design is that there's just that lack of perfection. Sometimes we just don't have that finishing touches, or probably we don't have the business know-how, because a lot of these people just started in a little garage and no one was mentoring them. They just had an inbuilt talent, which I really am fascinated how some of these people could do certain things they do. How do you empower these people to go from that point where they are to the next big thing?
Because of what we do, and we've been doing it for 10 years now, we're in a very unique position of understanding the challenges that emerging African designers face in terms of skill support, in terms of businesses, in terms of innovation, technology. So we are at a point where we know how to deal with that and, merge them with organizations that can help them, get to the next level of where they want to. So for instance, here in the diaspora, in the UK, we're working at the moment with Northampton University. And what we're doing is they're Black students, they're Black fashion designers. We're merging them with mentors, a lot of African designers who have experience within the fashion industry, to mentor them and, just help them shaping up their design skills. So that's what we're doing at the moment.
Our final question, my final question, because I just could keep you here all day to talk about the different fashion and stuff. And I know how busy you are, but my final thing to you is that what makes Ronke smile? What makes you because anyone sees you smiles and you're just such a glowing, happy person. What makes you that person? Wow.
That makes me smile. I'll say being productive, achieving a desired goal, learning to be in the present as well, you know, at all times, not having to juggle so many things at one time, because that enables me to know my personality. When I'm in the present, I get empowered and I'm able to do whatever I do very well, as opposed to just juggling so many things at the same time and not being productive. So that makes me smile. You know, I appreciate the past, I plan the future, and then I always make sure I am in the present.
Wow, Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, founder and president of African Fashion Week Lagos and London. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. And hopefully you could get back to Nigeria soon as well.
Thank you very much. And it's always a pleasure speaking to you and having a look at your beautiful face. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to having you at the next Africa Fashion Week.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
okay.
will be there. I can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.